Ouachita One Table. Ouachita One Table podcast is a deeper discussion of issues facing our business communities. Over this series, we'll invite community leaders in businesses, the arts, nonprofits, culture, and government as we discuss the issues that strike at the heart of the Chamber's mission for the greater good of our parish. Topics such as workforce development, education, quality of life, economic development, and more. Ouachita One Table. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe-West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Productions in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center. Now, here are your hosts, Roy Heatherly and Christopher Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Kelly with the West Monroe-West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, and this is Ouachita One Table. Today I'm joined, as always, with my good friend Roy.
With the Monroe Chamber of Commerce.
And today we have an amazing guest.
Oh, yeah.
Alana Cooper with Discover Monroe-West Monroe.
Nothing like putting you on the spot immediately. Now that the hot seat's over.
Yeah.
Hey, we're so excited that you're here. Thank you for coming.
Well,
and
I'm glad to be
sharing with
here, always. Y'all are my good friends, too, so...
Well, that's a heavy compliment
yeah,
already.
it is, very much. Thank you.
And this has been an episode.
And we're done.
But this time of year is crazy for you guys.
Is there not a crazy time? It seems like
Christmas,
there's always something to
Christmas to New Year's, most of us take off because that is just kind of, there's no meetings, there are typically no sporting events, we're not really booking any business. That's probably our slowest time frame.
So let's set the stage.
Yep.
The mission of Discover Monroe-West Monroe is?
To attract visitors to our area to create positive economic impact through tourism. So it goes a little broader. I mean, I can get it. I could repeat the longer sentence of it, but we've done that through a lot of different ways. We market. We are, when people ask what we do, I always say we're the marketing arm for Ouachita Parish. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "Well, your office is in West Monroe." And I'm like, "But really and truthfully, we don't really. It doesn't matter." And then the other thing is that outside of here, they don't know the difference. Yeah, they're like Monroe, West Monroe. Okay, they don't know which city they're in half the time unless they have some orientation with that. But most of the time, everyone's just like, yeah, we want to come, especially when we have such a great product to sell. It's a great location.
What's the radius of your focus for your marketing? Depending
on what it is, but like I said, for the leisure side of it, about a 5 hours. So drive market is really our biggest. It is, and it encompasses some big areas. I mean, we get Dallas, Houston, Memphis, New Orleans, and Little Rock in 5 hours. So those are big markets.
So talk to us about how you market us.
A lot of different ways. I mean, our bread and butter, I guess, right now is sports. So I'll start with that. Sports is our biggest market right now, and so we do a lot of sporting events. And so we work with whether we work with an association like American Softball Association. I'll just try to come up with something that's very simple. It isn't. It does actually exist, but something like that. They have tournaments. So they have state tournaments, regional tournaments, national tournaments. And so we look at what can we host, what are our facilities capable of hosting. And so we look and just like any kind of association, there's a lot of different varieties of them in sports. So in sports, there may be 10 active softball groups association. So you can look at ASA, USFA, there's USA softball. There's a lot of different ones. So you look at all those different ones and you try to what fits, and then who's participating in it. I mean, there are some, and especially I can name it on the baseball side. There's like a Babe Ruth baseball association, but there's not many people in our region in that 5 hour drive range that are participating in it. So it's not one we're going to go and put as much time into. Dixie or DBB are both very strong in our area. Little League is still strong, very strong in our region. So we look at all the different ones that there's participation in our region in that typically in that 5 hour drive market. It does limit us because if you're going to play sports on a weekend, you're only going to travel so far. You're not going to typically travel further than that unless it is a national championship or a qualifying championship for those amateur sports. So, and when I say amateur, I'm thinking about the children. And that goes up to 19 years old. When your kids are I'm sure, Roy, you've been to something with your grandkids that you've watched them play and participate. When they start doing travel ball or travel sports, you go watch them. And so the younger they are, the more they bring with them. So we love it. So sports is one of our key markets, and we do that through targeting those groups, but we also go to trade shows and conferences. We attend about 4 different opportunities annually throughout the United States to go and meet some of those associations, because there's new ones starting up a lot. There's a new, it may be soccer, and then with the new indoor sports complex, we've got some new sports to go target, like
pickleball. I'm learning all about pickleball.
I love pickleball. Gymnastics, when you get old and you can't play tennis anymore, pickleball. That's what I understand. But I'm looking forward to starting to play pickleball, because I quit tennis years ago. But it's huge. It is one of the faster growing sports, and it's always interesting when you go to some like sports at ETA conference, everybody says we're the fastest growing sport. So it's kind of a common, it's a terminology that we kind of giggle at, but there are some that are just growing by leaps and bounds at certain times, and so you want to target those if you've got the facility to host it.
Tell our listeners and viewers, tell them the economic impact of a weekend tournament.
Well, that's gonna vary a lot, but like this weekend we have a horse show in, and I know it's going to bring about $500,000 economically easy.
See, that's huge.
From everything from people spending money at the hotel.
They're staying at the hotel. They're going to the restaurant. They'll go shopping. They'll probably buy gas. They're going to buy gasoline. And it's not cheap, right?
Yeah.
So, and that hurts us sometimes. When gasoline prices go up, some people decide I'm not going to go to this tournament, or maybe on the livestock side, I'm not going to, because I can't go every weekend, or I can't go every other weekend. I got to cut back somewhere. So which ones do I choose? Yeah. So gas prices do definitely affect tourism.
But from his membership and my membership, what you do is critical to them, because we have all of those businesses that are impacted by who you bring to town. So on behalf of both of them, we want to say thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have a great team, and like I said, I definitely not me, but like I said, our team works hard and diligent. They'll do the hard work. I mean, they'll get out there and do the sales. They love our area. What's nice is we have a dedicated group that's out there saying how great we are, finding the things that mesh up and match for us for the sports side to bring it here. And then we're also look at conferences as well. We do look at meetings. So, some of those businesses that we have in our community that have boards or they have to do training, those are some groups that we look at as well. There are a lot of drivers to that, and the medical community is very strong. We have a lot of people coming in here to relocate or working, and so like I said, we help them with that. There's a vast arrays we can market our community, and so we are always trying to put our best foot forward and trying to tell the good news and the great things that there are here in our community to do. It's funny that people who are locally don't always know that, so we always want to make sure that we are getting them aware of what all there is to do in our community.
And you do that through your newsletter,
right?
So
and our website. Yeah, I definitely. I always encourage. It's funny, our target market is outside of area, but and we do a monthly newsletter that says kind of what's coming up in September, what's coming up in October. It'll be it comes out a few days before the month, and that's more of a cast the net, maybe plant that seed. Oh, there's something in there that they go, ooh, I want to go to that Landry's concert. Ooh, I want to go to that concert at the Civic Center. There's something that's going on that maybe will make them say, hey, I'll come that weekend. But we also do a weekly newsletter. And for those people who are within a small drive market, like a 2 to 4 hour drive market, they're looking for the weekend, so we hit them on Thursday with here's all these great things going on. So maybe they'll make that decision. And again, we see it's been a catalyst for us to help with seeing weekend visitation just for leisure to come in, because there's a special dinner theater, or there's a show they want to see, and they kind of combine all that into a great weekend.
But I got to tell you, the perception. People say, "Oh, there's nothing to do," but when they get that, I've had people come up to me literally and say, "I had no idea all those bands were playing, all these great things are going on." Yeah. We are so busy, they're going to places now, but you've enlightened them to that.
Definitely. I mean, even, I've been doing this for a long time. I want 20 plus years. And it's been really interesting. Our newest person who works on the newsletter had really gone out and tried to work with our local entities that are having live music, especially after COVID, because that group suffered a lot. They couldn't play. They weren't able to perform. And so we've been really promoting that. And it's just really fun to see all this great talent in our community that's out there that you can go see on the weekend. So it's wonderful seeing all the live music that's around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned 20 years. I'm not going to pick on you, but think it could reflect a little bit on challenges and what's changed in Your industry.
Oh, it's changed a lot from
I mean,
when I
'cause
started.
just social media alone is now.
It's a whole new era.
Yeah.
I always, when I speak to tourism industry, like there's a leadership group that I typically speak at annually. I talk about the one thing that's constant is the change. When we first started, we did a photo that was kind of about the size of a passport photo and 25 words a copy in Southern Living magazine, and that was like woo.
Really
and now we're doing a video, trying to do 2 videos a day, some reels, a TikTok, and trying to do make sure you got a post on Facebook that's getting engagement as well as Instagram, and
So you're pulled in a variety of more directions.
Yes,
and it's constant.
And you have to keep putting it out there so that people see. And again, everyone is inundated with information, but you want to be putting out those great images, the great things that kind of go back to old school. That wish you were here, that postcard image that is the image that you're like, I wish I was there. I want to be there. I want to be doing that. I want to
eat that fish.
I want to eat that food. I want to be kayaking on Black Bayou. I want to see that bird, the heron flying on the river, those kind of things. So yeah.
So Mayor Ellis talks about one of the biggest challenges he had when he took office was apathy, of people not really proud of our community, and that's contagious. Whether you like a community or don't, those are both contagious. Tell us, because your focus is to draw people to our community, and sometimes people that live here don't understand that. But tell us your sales pitch. Tell us, and you told us earlier that you have different sales pitches. But talk a little bit about how you sell our community.
Well, if I'll go to personally, I guess if I'm selling it to someone, I'm like, come up for the weekend. And I say come up because a lot of times I'm working with things within the state. And they're like, when they start hearing us talk about it, they're like, I'm like, you need to come see the venue, the concerts at Landry's. It depends on their interest. Again, I really do personalize it to what they like. Like I said, come in for a Landry's concert, go out to eat at Parish, stay overnight. We have some B&Bs, we have a hotel, but then you can get up and have a good Sunday brunch. You can do these things that can make a great weekend. And then when there's specialty things that are going on that maybe someone has an interest in, maybe that's theater or a performance or some special event like the Red, White, and Blue Air Show, which we just recently got. It's huge. Things like that you can drive traffic for. Sure. Again, very individualized approaches to it. We do. And so, like I said, I'm always telling about the great opportunities there are, because there is something always happen. And I always talk about our great food and our great people. And people are hospitable here. That is one thing that we get over and over. People are friendly. Even sometimes maybe they have apathy, and we're working on that as well. One of the things we developed out to do a little bit of that was at our front desk of our hotels. We do what we call Team MWM training. And so we did a class, and we had 60 people came through it earlier this year. We'll be doing it again in the fall. We did that for, and you attended. We asked our front desk personnel at our hotels, because we want them to be the ones that when that person says, "Hey, what's there to do? We came in town. We're here for X." Yeah. What can we do and where can we go eat? We wanted to put them in a local restaurant. Nothing against the big chains. I love them and I'm glad we have them, but I want them to go back home, because word of mouth is a huge marketing tool, and then to go, I had this great dinner at,
and it's only available there.
It's here. Yeah, here. We were on the river. We were, like I said, those river experiences, I will say our restaurants on the river are probably our most promoted, just because that provides such a unique atmosphere. Everybody doesn't have that. We have so many advantages. We have I-20 running right through us. We have a river running north-south. We have a 165 running, north-south as well. So we have this, critical mass of things. We've got great shopping. I hadn't even talked about that. And people don't even understand, the mall is an attractor. A lot of people, the mall. I'm like, it is the most visited attraction in our community. Because, you got to consider, we're a regional hub. I mean, Monroe-West Monroe, Ouachita Parish, we're the larger city. And so for about an hour, we're it. Like I said, I have relatives all over Northeast Louisiana, and they come in. They come for Saturday. They kind of make they call it their run. They come to town. They go shopping. They go out to eat. They go to Sam's, pick up some stocks and supplies and stuff, and then they may go back home. But the other fun part about that is that we do get a lot of them. So Mardi Gras weekend, one of my favorite stories. This is a kind of an old story, but. Mardi Gras weekend, we had judges in. We had a new assistant secretary for the Office of Tourism, and I was like, I wanted him to learn about our area. So I brought him and his family. Again, I targeted specifically his family because it's a family fun event. Right. I said, bring them all. We'll come up, I'll put you up, and we're going to participate in all the different Mardi Gras things. You can be a judge at the parade, and we'll take you out to eat, show you some of the great things. He still loves Monroe-West Monroe to this day. He's been out of tourism for years. We're still good friends. But anyway, so I'm walking in the hotel, and here comes my friend from Oak Grove, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I hadn't seen him, 5-10 years since college or so, and they're like, oh, he came in for the weekend. It's Mardi Gras weekend. And so we forget that for some, like I said, if you're an hour away and you're going to do things till 8 or 9 at night, you may not want to drive home. They make a weekend of it. So we are a regional hub, and we do draw, and we have those things to offer that people want to do on the weekend.
Can I just compliment you on your enthusiasm? It makes me smile. It's so cool to hear someone's out there marketing our community with such a passion and sense of ownership of where we live. It's so cool.
And you've been doing it, you said 20, whatever, but you've been doing it, but you're more energized today than you were probably when you started.
Yeah, I mean, I still love it. I mean, that's the thing, to be able to do something for this long, to me, I think you have to love it. And I do. It's a great job. I love the tourism industry itself. I mean, I love working with the hotels. I love working with our attractions. I love working with the restaurants. It's good, and we've got a good product to sell. I mean, I don't want to down somebody else, but I said it's easy to sell to me. It's like, we do have all these great things. We have great food. We have great people. Our attractions are fabulous. I mean, we have the family of Beadenhorn, with the Coca-Cola Museum. That's something no one else has. I mean, it's definitely unique. Yeah, there's some Coca-Cola things here and there, but ours is awesome. And it really is, because of the gardens, the Coke Museum aspect, the family home, and the Bible Museum. Yeah. And that feeds into another market that we target, is the religious market. We work with religious groups. We work with we target tour bus groups. There's a lot of religious churches that will travel to go see exhibits and stuff. So that's another little, it's a little niche market that we do that, like I said, it is because of that attraction.
Diversity of things that you're balancing at the same time.
And then you go to the history. You've got Chenault Aviation and Military Museum, and that historical thing from military unions and the people who just love history. It's an awesome attraction. It's free too, on top of that. So, and you've got Nell Calloway, who's the granddaughter of Chenault there.
She's a powerhouse.
Yeah. So you can't go wrong with that. And then like Black Bayou, for those people who've never been to Louisiana, it's the Louisiana experience, front in your face. And you know what I love? My favorite, there's a good I have all these great stories to tell, but one of my favorites is, I'm bringing a media crew in, and we're taking them to show them some of the things, and they're doing some recordings for the Office of Tourism to provide some marketing. And they're like, they were from like Kansas or something. They're like, do you think we'll see an alligator? And I'm like, we're walking out on the bridge, and I'm like, there he is for you. He popped up like I'd done on cue. There he is. So we also had the snake too, but I was like, there's snakes too. It's nature, but the alligator, he shows up. I mean, it seems like that has happened to me like at least 2 or 3 times that they're like, do you think we'll see an alligator when it's not cold? It's been some summer, and I know enough about them to know that they're not going to be there in the winter.
What are some challenges? Tell me your challenges.
Challenges, when I began in this industry, probably one of our biggest challenges right now is we were doing about 25% meetings market. So we don't have a meeting hotel, a conference center hotel. And so having a hotel with meeting space is probably our biggest challenge. I would love to get back in that market. That would increase some room nights. And COVID, definitely hurt the meetings market, but it's coming back, and everything that research is showing 23, 24, it's going to be back, and sometimes even better.
Sure.
I know the Louisiana Tourism Summit, we just held our conference for the state. It's in Lake Charles. We're not even able to bid for it anymore because they want the hotel connected to the meeting space. Yeah. And that is just becoming a requirement because people don't want to get in their car and drive.
Sure.
We can still do, and we do plenty of them, what are called citywides. They won't fit in that caliber anywhere, so they're going to have to drive where they're. Like Louisiana Municipal Association, Louisiana FFA, Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. So a lot of your high school groups, and where we have an advantage sometimes in that is they'd rather come to a city like ours than be somewhere where there's casinos with the kids. So it does kind of put it, like I said, you have to look for that family-friendly thing. Again, you can't be everything to everybody, but do what we do and do it well. So sports has been one of those things, and we have definitely invested back in that so that we can keep drawing more and more sports
to that a little bit more.
Years back, and I'll say my predecessor kind of set that up. We started looking at what are the things that are going to drive traffic to our community. one of the first things we did was the Ike Hamilton Expo Center. We've invested $2 million in it. The city put in $3 million, and that was a match to the state. So it was a $10 million project. The Ike, a lot of people, it's been there for 20 years now. It's kind of like you just see it and you don't think anything about it. But it is sitting there driving money to the community. If it was not there, we'd lose anywhere from $20 to $35 million into our community annually because the people are coming in. One of the big events coming is right now is Cotton Stakes. It's a 10-day cutting horse show. And so people are like,
10 days.
10 days? Yes. But you have a group of, the first 5 days is your amateurs, the next 5 days is your pros. So you have a rotation of people. You have trainers who come in ahead of the people who are going to ride. And that's an industry where you have to typically have some dollars to back it up. So you're bringing all sorts of people into the community. They're here for at least 5 days. Some of them are here for the whole entire 10. It's not super spectator friendly is what I always kind of try to say is everybody's like, well, I didn't know that was at the Ike. And I'm like, well, you can go see it. But, after you watch, all they do is they cut cattle out all day long. It's over and over and over again. And unless you're into that, you're not going to really, it's kind of like going and watching amateur sports of any sort.
You have to be drawn into
you kind of have to like one game is, if you're going to watch baseball, one game's probably enough, unless, like I said, unless you just love it. But it is neat to see all the people. I mean, we've had through that event, like I met Kix Brooks. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So awesome. He was here, and like I said, I know, I can't remember Miss Walton's name, but the Walmart family, she came down one time and was competing in it. So some neat people come into our community, and a lot of people don't even know they're there.
So you mentioned the money, though. Like, enlighten people, because they may not know, how your funding exists.
So we are funded strictly off a hotel occupancy tax. So there's a tax on the hotel rooms in Ouachita Parish. So we are tax funded, but it is only on hotel rooms in Ouachita Parish. So we collect 4% on the rooms, and that money is what we turn around to try to market to drive more people, because when they're staying overnight, and if you think about this, if you travel at all, you realize that the hotel room is not the only place you spend money. No. You'll go out to eat, you'll go shopping, the number one thing people do when they're traveling, number one's eat, shop, and then after that it's going to be attractions and activities. Sure. And we kind of research it down to where, like, right now COVID outdoor activities are kind of number one, but amateur sports is up there. There's a lot of different things from kayaking. I mean, you can do research to narrow it down to certain things, but we've invested to try to drive those things that will bring in the dollars to the community. The Ike is one of those. That was our first example. Then we invested in we did another investment in improvements to the Civic Center, some of our local attractions like the Children's Museum. University, ULM is our partner, and they're a key partner. We are a college town, and those facilities that they have are great. Yeah. We've just helped to make them improved and better. They've got to have them. Can we help them make them the best? And then we work together. It's a win-win to me, because if we put kids on campus that are in the amateur status, they get exposure to ULM,
right,
and they have a chance of coming back and being a student or a student athlete. So it's exposure too for the athletic department to see some of the probably top kids, either at whatever age division they're in, and they're here in their backyard, which saves them on recruiting too. But if they come here as a student, that's a huge economic impact, because they're here for typically 4 years, if not longer. Their parents will come and visit. They're going to spend money during that whole entire time as a student that affects our community. So I always think, when we're doing this amateur sports, that it has the potential to give back over and over and over again down the road. The initial, and I know that the results are there from, it's an old study, but when we first hosted Louisiana High School Girls State Basketball Championship, that was right when I started. It was probably like my first or second year at the Bureau. We, ULM did a study. So we have 28 teams that come. Of those 28 schools that participated, the enrollment from the year before, they compared it, the enrollment from students from those schools increased by almost 20%. So it was exposure. They were introduced and exposed. It wasn't necessarily they came as student athletes, but it's that
it wasn't
exposure.
A foreign place anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't a foreign place anymore.
Cool.
So like I said, that from those 28 schools, we saw an increase. So it was very, very targeted. But again, exposure works, and we know that. And especially, our campus is gorgeous. If you've not seen it, and you look at it from somewhere else, really, and I have a child who's going to college, and so we're going and touring, and so I'm seeing everywhere else, and I'm like, we still have It is
Blowing it
one
away
of the
in our own
most
backyard.
beautiful campuses. That bayou running through. I mean,
It's great.
ULO has a swamp. We have a bayou.
So you're talking about reflecting into the future, but let's pick on that. Like you're really reflecting multiple years to get some of these events here.
Yes, I mean we have to target, like when you're talking about amateur sports. Most of the time you're at least a year out. A lot of times I don't know what's going on this weekend because I'm looking at I'm looking at a budget for what would it take to get this here for 24, 25, 26.
Wow.
We don't typically go as far as, but there are some, especially on the livestock side, they'll do 3 years at a time. So they'll come together and they'll decide where are we going for. Right now, they probably doing 24, 25, 26.
They make multi-year.
So they make a multi-year, and sometimes we'll do a multi-year commitment. We pitch a lot of times. We'll throw in. So you're looking at us for 24, but if you'll do 24 and 25, we'll give you a little bit better rate, or we'll support you with this. Try to get them to commit for 2 years coming, because that's again, better economic impact. And the second time you have something, it's easier. It's so much easier because you already know where the logistics, the things that you need to improve, and the things that worked really well. So we definitely will try to do, can you come back for 2 and 3 years? We've done that a lot we've done BMX Cajun Nationals. So that's about 800 kids. We've been doing it now for about eight or 9 years. That's 800 kids from all over the United States. It is a national event. A lot of people never realize we have this many national events. It's a national event. We have people who fly in, and they're flying their BMX bike in. And I've been on the airplane. I've been on the airplane and seen it come through. So they come from all over, and they compete during those 4 days. And that's a huge economic impact to us, and it's annually. Yeah. And so that's at the Ike. But, we also just recently had the World Horseshoe Pitching Tournament. Right. We had about 700 pitchers from all over the United States and some internationals that came in for that. We've had fishing tournaments that have brought in internationals. We do a lot of national events here that a lot of people don't necessarily know they're even happening.
Hiding in plain sight.
Well, it's a quiet industry. I love it when somebody will say, well, there's a lot of kids in town. And when I went out to eat the other night, there was like all these baseball teams. I'm like, money. I love it, yeah. Ask them where they're from and how long they're staying. Be nice to them. Be nice to them. Tell them to come back. So invite them back. So that's always... it's a very quiet industry that brings a lot of money to the community, a lot of taxes. This is the thing. So every group visitor that we have saves every one of us money, because those sales tax that they create helps us not have to pay as much, because the millions of dollars we're creating in sales tax annually from visitors helps us not have to pay for all the different things that the sales tax pay for. And that's, I know for our municipalities from Monroe-West Monroe, Ouachita Parish Police Jury, Sterlington, and Richwood, sales tax is where they have the potential for growth. So like I said, that's why they're our partners. That's why y'all are our partners. We want the businesses to grow. We want our businesses to be better. We want them to be, people walking through their door. Anything we can do to get people through their doors and spending money, that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing.
Y'all recently rebranded. Do you want to mention your publications that you turn out?
We do a visitor's guide. We try to do it annually, and we launched this Discover Monroe-West Monroe, because Convention and Visitors Bureau is what we do, but Discover Monroe-West Monroe is easier for marketing.
I think half the time we say CVB.
Yeah, it's okay, because you know what it is. Yeah. Majority of people do not. Right. So like I said, but if they, one of our biggest, this is a print publication. We do print. Sure. But it's just the surface. The biggest is the website and keeping that up to date, because restaurants open, close, shops, boutiques open and close, and yes, definitely in that 4-week time frame, something's already changed a little bit. But making sure that we're keeping up with our local restaurants, telling their story. We're really working hard. We added on a position a little over a year and a half or 2 ago to work on the public relations side to try to get our story out there. Allison Nunley is in that position. She today got an email, Louisiana Life. We just got picked. The Red, White, and Blue Show was picked as the best new event for the state for the year. So she also got a lot of different things that she put in there got recognized in the Louisiana Life. So we're trying to do different things like that to get our name out there, get our brand out there, and talk about all the great things that there are happening here.
So we might not perceive it because you're marketing outside of our radius, but you're working every day with a full team of people in all these dimensions. Yeah. Like I can't imagine, from religious groups to youth sports to Cattlemen's Association and everything in between. Yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you for what you do for our community.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Well, it's great. It's fun. It's never the same thing twice. I mean, and every day is a new day, kind of is what we say. It's
opportunity for
and
sure.
and it is, and you're always meeting new people, and you get to make great friends, and you get to help them have a great experience while they're here. I feel very, very blessed to have been in this job for so long. I have so many great stories to tell from the
So we're blessed back.
But like I said, it's fun. It's a great industry, and I feel like 27 years. This is my 27th year, and I can't say that it's ever been dull or boring or that I've ever really regretted any decision to make. And it was kind of a fluke that I ended up. I always knew I wanted to be in the tourism industry. Was going in at a whole different avenue, and ended up here. And I said it's just been a great day. All day, every day. I mean, like I said, there's always challenges in any job, but it's really fun, and it's really great to be being a bridge builder within the community, trying to bring things together. And then, like I said, a lot of times what we're doing, nobody in the community gets to see. So we really have been trying to drive that newsletter so that people realize
So let's mention that. So if somebody doesn't know, how would they sign up real quick?
Monroe-westmonroe.org is our website. And if you've not been to it, please go visit.
Totally revamped and beautiful.
It's great. It's always got a great story to tell on there, something new that's happening. But there you can go to things to do, calendar, it's the events. And on that page, you can scroll down and it says sign up for our newsletter. And it's actually on every page at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
So we kind of put it out there. We try to make it pretty easy for you to get there. But it's definitely worth getting it in your inbox on Thursday. If nothing else, you'll be very surprised at all the different things and the caliber of things that there are to do in our community. And it's just, you take for granted a lot of times what's in our own backyard, but we got a great backyard. Get out and enjoy it.
Thank you for your passion.
That's great.
This has been an episode of Ouachita One Table with our amazing guest from Monroe-West. Discover what Monroe-West Monroe. Dang, I didn't even get it close. Joined as always with my awesome friend,
Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber, and we're glad you joined us.
You've been listening to Ouachita One Table with Christopher Kelly and Roy Heatherly. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Production in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center.